Hey Krishna. Let's start discussion on very important topic, and that will definitely help you if you are preparing BRD, FSD, or collecting requirements, or to drawing the process flows, or to draw the ERD. So let's discuss and the introduction to the flow charts, how to draw the flow charts, what is a flow charts, and what tools we use to draw the flow charts, and explain you some small flow chart for you. And lastly I'll show you one of the best free tools that if you use to draw the free flowcharts, and that will increase your the skill set in preparing the flowcharts. So let's start discussion on the introduction to the flowchart to visualize the processes how it will work. So let's first I'll give you the introductions of what is a flowcharts and why we are using. So basically a flowchart is a diagram that shows the step-by-step process or the workflow. If suppose you are working on the some project like a transaction monitoring system, so how the transactions are feed into the system, how L1 reviewer will do, L2 reviewer will do, if there is a mutual fund orders, so how to place the order, so maker checker functionality, then how it goes to the RTA, how process how that process will work, so that we will explain in the flow chart. So it is uses a different shapes and connecting the lines to illustrate the sequence of action, decision and outcomes is at the parallel, or the one by one step or process. So we will use a decision box, start, end, and the process chart, so that I'll show you in that video. So in that presentation, so that's processes and decision we make a sequence how that sequentially will happen. So it will think of the visual maps to guide you through the process from start to finish, how the process will the happens in the systems, and that is helpful for the technical and non-technical stakeholders to understand how the process will happen in the system, and they help to simplify the complex processes and make them easier to understand and analyze. And before we start for the development, or before we start working actually work on that the project, so we will from that flowcharts we will understand how the process flow or the data flow will happen. So let's move on the next slide. Why use the flowcharts, why there is a importance of flowcharts? So that will improve the communications, that will solve the gap between the non-technical and technical stakeholder. It will help for the problem solving, it will help for the process documentation, how the process will happen, and logical analysis. So it will help to think the logically how the system process will perform. So it will improve the communication. Flowchart provide a clear communication language for discussing processes, reducing the misunderstanding, how the process, and fill the gap of misunderstanding. And on before we start working, so we have the 360-degree view of that processes. So that helps in the communication and the problem solving. They help identify the bottlenecks, redundancies, and inefficiency processes. That will clearly helps to understand how the process will happen, how the data flow will happen, how the what and where the L1 and L2 reviewer or the maker checker will interact with these systems. So that's the problem solver and the process documentation. So the flowchart will help you to draw the processes documentation, and sir has excellent documentation for training new employees and standardize the processes, how the process will happens, and the logical analysis they can we use to plan and design the logical for computer programs or algorithms, how the logic will building and how the logical analysis will do. So that's why we will prepare for the flowcharts. So let's move on the next slide, that is a common flowchart symbol. So I'll show it in the tool itself what are the common flowcharts in these the tools. But first one is a start and end point, so where the activities start represent the beginning and end point of process. So we will help whenever who user start the process and how the other user are interacting, and who actually end the process or in between, if some in have parallel we do. So that's the thing. and the rectangles, that is a process step. So specific action or the task done by the user, so that we show in the rectangles. And then the diamonds, that is a decision box. I'll show you that all things. So it indicates the point where the decision must be made, so yes or no, it is accurate or inaccurate, is that is a suspicious activity or not suspicious activity, or it is a false positive or it is a true positive, like that decisions will take. And this will be yes or no. And the parallelogram, input output, so it represent the data being entered into the existing and the process, and how that will flow, the data flow, input output data. So we will draw in the parallelogram. And the arrows, flow lines, that is also important, how the one step process will go and connect the steps and shows the directions of the process flow. That's the arrows will help you. So these are the commons. But apart from that, there is a more. Let's I will show you in that. There is swim lane, or there is the start end, user, system. So that are things I'll show you in that, the show how to create the flow chart. So guys, it's and the most important, how you create the flow chart. So there is a 5 step process to create the flow chart, ideal process, but you can use more processes. So define the process, list the step, choose the right symbol at right stage, and connect with arrows, and review and repoint. So you need to define the process, what processes. So anti-money laundering processes, or transaction monitoring, or the mutual fund order, or the equity order, or the trade surveillance team working processes. So you define some processes and clearly identify start and end point of the process, want to map and how the process will start, who are the user interact with that process. So define the process first is the stage, and list down the step, what are the steps. So add user, place order, which type of order, how that will happen. So we'll step down the process, break down the process into individual and the sequential step, how that process will happen and how the user will interact with this system. And then choose the right symbol at right time with the right process state, with the right connection of each the process. So select the appropriate step for each steps, like process, decision, or the data flow, or the user while they are interacting. And connect with the arrows, use arrow to show the direction of flow from one step to next step, how that will happen. It is a parallel, or the sequential way. Show the arrows and review and refine. Check the flow chart for accuracy and clarity, it is clear or it is meet with the user requirement, or to make sure it is easy flow and it is understandable for the technical and non-technical stakeholder. So let's discuss on some example of the flow chart. So let's first example is I am admit to number one school, is or not. If you are checking, so it's my admission is goes for the number one school or not. So you start with input the total score, how much you get the score. If you are score more than 80 100 800, so is admitted for number one school. If you are get less than 800 score, so you are admitted for the not the number one school. And then you will end with that the question. So that's depend on this the process flow. And the one of the decision, if you are taking decision, if you want to go the home, so you want to leave the home with start, so check time, you should check the time before 7 p.m. You should you before it's time the before 7 p.m. so you take a bus. And if you the after 7 p.m. you should take a subway and reach home. So that's the decision. It is a simple flow, there is a multiple flow and lengthy process, and there are the multiple types of diagram, or the advanced diagram. This is a simple uh, flow charts I'll show you. So let's advance flow chart. There is flow chart can go more complex and more adaptive. So there is a swimlane flow chart used for show the department or the person responsibilities for each step and the process, how the process will work, and the data flow diagram. So flow the how the data move through the system from one person to another person, or one system to another system. This is used for more iterative and large scale projects such as designing software and business system. So there is another is entity relationship diagram, sequence diagram, simple board, organizational chart, flow chart, cross functional diagram, placeholder, mind map. These are the different types of the diagrams we need to draw. Let's tool for the creating. So guys, these are the tools I'll specifically creating for you. So for digital tools we use the Microsoft Visio, Lucid Chart, Draw.io. Draw.io is the one of the best tool, and I recommend you should start working on the Draw.io. It is a free tool and it will allow you to draw the unlimited things. And Microsoft PowerPoint, Word, it is also one of the tool where you can draw the processes and to complete your processes. And why the digital tools is, it is easy and easy to update. It will, track the centralized platform. We can, everyone can go and make the changes, can easily share collaboration with others, obviously allow the professional and publish the diagram. You can take reference from the online and you draw the different user tools and add that thing. So that's and the low tech tools like pen and paper, you can draw some time. The best ways to start with the quick and sketch, brainstorm, whiteboard, great for a team collaboration and brainstorming session. So this way you can draw. So let's first discuss on the I'll show you practical how to draw. So let's discuss on the flow charts. So these are the flow charts I am creating with the draw.io. Let's its name get changed with the diagram net. So you can see on my screen, so there is, the process rectangle that shows the process. So you can text the something, you can do the process maps, or advance you can draw the swim lanes, or you can drag the users, you can draw the mind maps, do all these things. So it is and the very best tool to draw the, the wireframe, to draw the uh, flow charts, swim lane diagrams, different kinds of diagrams. So let's move on the next last slide. That is a key takeaway from this presentation. So flowchart are a powerful tool for visualizing and understanding processes, how the process will work. It will help you to draw the process step by step with the decisions, or who are the interacting with what processes. So that's the importance of the flowcharts. And the improvement clarity and the communication between different stakeholders. It will clearly show us the pictures how it will look like, and the basic symbol are easy to learn and apply. The development can easily start. A new user can understand from the flowcharts how, what their, the sequence will work, how that system or the functionality will work, and at what time they need to take what action. So that will be the basic symbol, easy to learn and understand. Use them to analyze and document, improve the process. And if you are continuously drawing the flowchart, so that's the practice make a perfect. So it will be very important if you are working as a business analyst, and if you understand some systems to work on the flowcharts. So that's the end of the slide, guys. Thanks.